Michelle is a musician with albums released as Everyone Except Me and artist behind the post-apocalyptic webcomic Stray Cats. She's kind, a bit shy, and furiously creative. Henrique is a filmmaker with over 24 films and TV shows as producer, director, and occasionally host. He also released a couple of music albums. He's bombastic, larger than life, and tenacious almost to a fault. Together, they've been best friends for a decade. This show is awkward.
So it happened to me again.
What?
I don't think I told you about the first time this happened. I've been getting, I don't know about you. I get an immense amount of not prank calls, but they feel like it, foreigner scam calls.
Yeah, I mean, I do too. Yeah. I
will get a car's extended warranty call 3 or 4 times a day.
Wow.
And I started getting some not IRS things, but your social security number has been, suspended calls too. I get those on occasion, but this new one I'm getting, I know, right? Because I'm like, what does that even mean?
I don't know.
Your social security number has been suspended. Does that mean I lost my citizenship? I don't understand what that means, but so now I'm getting this new one. And this one is really weird because I hung up like the first 2 or 3 times I got it. And then I answered 2 times and talked to them. And it was really bizarre.
Really?
So I get this call and I answer hello. And then you hear that loud beep sound. And then you hear the probably Indian gentleman start talking to you about, he says he's from Senior Benefits Care or something like that. Mm-hmm. And they want to offer me a quote on final expenses costs. Basically, nice. a life insurance that is guaranteed to pay all, funeral costs, et cetera, et cetera.
That's nice of them.
Yeah, it's very nice of them. And I am sure it's not a scam either.
No, of course not.
No. They just, they're definitely in Piqua, Ohio, like the caller ID says.
Yeah.
So I answered the first time and I listened to them talk and then they say, so would you be interested? And I say, no, thank you. I'm being pretty good because I often like to really mess with these people, but I'm being like super, super nice. So I'm like, no, thank you. And they say, well, sir, there's no obligation and you're not going to be charged anything. We just want to tell you a bunch of information and then you can make your own decision. And I'm like, well, the problem is I'm 30. So I don't need senior care insurance.
You don't know that.
But here's the thing. The guy's response is, you're 30? And I say, yes. And he goes, no, you're not. You're 60. And I say, no, I'm 30. I'm 33 years old. And he goes, you're 60 years old. Why are you lying to me about your age? And I'm like, dude, I'm not 60. I don't know where you're getting this number. And then he said, well, our records say that you're 60. And then he says, what's your name? And I'm like, I'm not going to tell you my name. You should know my name if you called me. So finally, the first guy who called actually ended up being kind of nice toward the end. Like he ended up going like, oh, well, we'll remove you from our database. Sorry for that. It's weird confusion. And I was like, okay. Well, today, actually, like not even 20 minutes, 30 minutes before we started this, I get a call and I decide to do the same thing. I'm like, I'm 30. And the guy goes, no, you're not. Different guy.
I guess that's just what they're supposed to say when you say an age that they don't like. They want to convince you.
They say it dickishly, though.
Well, they want to convince you. So, you're like, wait, maybe I'm not 30. Maybe I'm 65.
Well, so then I'm like, I'm 30. And he's like, no, you're not. And then but this guy starts saying, like, you sound like you're at least 45.
Jeez.
But he's got an Indian accent and stuff, that I'm not going to do because I don't want to sound wicked, super racist. And so I go, no, I'm 30. And then he goes, no, you're not. You sound like you're balding and you blah, blah, blah. And I'm like,
what?
And I wasn't sure I understood. So I'm like, excuse me. And he's like, your phone, is this your phone number? And I'm like, yeah. And then he's like, and you own this phone number? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, because it says you're 60 years old. And I'm like, I'm 30, so I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
So then he says, oh, well, he says something like, you're pathetic. Your phone must be in your wife's name and your wife is 60. So why are you dating such an old woman? And I'm like, dude, what are you talking about?
What is going on?
And then he literally goes, never mind. Goodbye. And he hangs up on
I'm so confused.
Me too. I mean, because I'm the guy. I think I've talked about this on here. I'm the guy that will like do the thing where they say like, we're going to reduce your credit card debt. And I will sit there on the phone with them for like 8 or 9 minutes until they ask for my credit card number. And then instead of saying a credit card number, I'll say like 45 Benchad, Benchad, Benchad. Benchad is Hindi for like basically like sister fucker. Mm. And they get really mad.
Yeah.
When you say Benchad.
Yeah, I would think so.
And then they start swearing at me and they hang up on me and stuff. Sometimes I'll fight with you for quite a while. And usually I'm not, if I'm in a particularly bad mood, I feel bad, but if I'm in a particularly bad mood, they're just available to wail on. I mean, honestly, because they're calling me and trying to scam me and then being incredibly rude on top of all of that.
What? But those poor scammers, you're hurting their feelings.
They steal millions of dollars from like elderly people. I don't have any pity. But usually I let it go. I don't know. What do you do? Do you do anything?
I don't really. I usually don't pick up. I have a New Jersey area code on my phone, but I don't live in New Jersey. So if I get a call from New Jersey and it's not a family member, it is not real. So I just don't even pick up calls from New Jersey anymore.
Yeah.
But when I do, because I'm like, oh, this number is a weird area code, and it's like another New Jersey area code that I just didn't know or something. Yeah. And someone starts talking to me, I just say hello over and over again, and then eventually hang up. So
I mean, that works too. Hello. Remember that time I got a census call while I was at the dinner table with you and your family?
Yes.
That was the best. Like, that was like, I feel like the memory of that is like I must have paid that guy because it was so perfect. I'm sitting at dinner with your family and my phone rings and I just answer it and put it on speaker. And it says, do you have a moment to talk about your Senate and voting registration? And I just decided to act like I heard boating, not voting. Like boats that you ride on the water in. So I just kept saying boat. So I was like, well, I don't have a boat. Like I can't register something I don't have. And he's like, no, it's about Senate voter registration. And I was like, well, I'm sure a lot of senators have boats. They make really good money, but I don't have one. And the guy ended up just laughing and saying, have a great night, sir.
Yeah.
Oh
yeah, that was a good one because he wasn't like really trying to scam you, and I think he had a really good time. So
yeah, I think it was a nice laugh to break up his day. So, but that was back in the good old days when unwanted calls weren't strictly foreigners trying to like rip you off of all of your money.
I guess.
The good old days when they were just like, do you have a moment to take your to take a survey? My favorite is when I get robocalls where it's a person selecting responses because I just say sentences that there's literally no way they could have a response for. If I'm being completely candid, which is what I do on this show, I often say like vaguely anti-Semitic things. Like, not like anything I would consider to be harsh, but like they'll be like, do you have a moment to talk about your blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah? And I just say, I believe the Jews control the media. And the best is sometimes they'll be like, all right, well, do you have a moment to talk about blah, 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 blah? And I'm like, just follow the money and you'll see the Jews control the media. I don't know why I started doing that like 10 years ago and it's still my go-to because it's just such a bizarre thing. Like, how would they have any response to that?
Yeah.
The best is when they won't hang up.
Well, they really got to get you. So
I know. And sometimes I get robocalls. Recently, I got a robocall from, and I don't know if I'm using the phrase robocall right, but I consider robocalls when they're using a machine to answer you so that it sounds like a native language speaker or whatever.
Right.
Or perhaps they're, I mean, like in the case I'm about to say, it might also be that they hire people who are disabled or can't speak or something. What? Because, I'm sorry.
No. Continue.
Oh, because this robocall was for like the the officers union where they try to raise money for police officers, and it was for Centerville. So I can't imagine they're outsourcing to Bangladesh or something.
No. And when I heard about robocalls, or I guess they're like Android calls, because there's a person pressing the buttons, so it's like it's not exactly a robot. But I heard that that they do that so that everything could just be standardized.
That makes sense too.
So I'm sure there's some that are outsourced, but there are some people who are just in the U.S. normal call center people just pressing buttons instead of talking.
Yeah.
So.
But when I got a call about like the police fraternal order of police, will you donate? And literally I just was like, no. And they were like, well, do you think we could count on even a donation of $2 just to help the bubble? Like, it kept guilting. Like, it was like they had a guilt button.
Yeah.
Because they risk their lives for you and blah, 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 blah. And I literally was like, well, I believe most police are corrupt. Okay. Well, we were hoping that blah, 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 blah. And I'm like, I'm not going to give you any money. I'm already mad I pay you in tax dollars. And then it just said like, well, thank you for your time, and hung up. And I was just like, what a weird experience.
Yeah.
Man, I'm showing my hand like crazy with my Jewish jokes and my anti-cop rhetoric.
Yeah.
Man, but yeah, so I try not to deal with this stuff, but it's also, I try not to deal with it, but at the same time, sometimes I can't resist having somebody to like mess with on the phone. Because it's like they're handing me this opportunity.
Yeah.
To mess with them. So I've got to take advantage of it. The one thing I miss is there used to be a lot less scammy ones. There used to be a lot more where they were like selling something that sounded legitimate. I remember one time a guy called me out of the blue and was trying to pitch me some service. I think it was like a website service or something. And I literally said, if you can quote Wu-Tang Clan lyrics to me, I will buy whatever you're selling. And the guy couldn't quote Wu-Tang Clan lyrics to me, so...
And I guess this is when people, like, didn't just have, like, a cell phone, I guess, so they could quickly look them up, or did he not think of that?
I think he didn't believe me enough to, like, look up Wu-Tang Clan lyrics. I would have bought something if it was, like, $25 or $30. I would have bought it right then and there.
If he was a good salesperson, he would have done it anyway, just to see if he would have bought it. Like, it's not that hard to look them up real quick.
That's what I would do.
Yeah.
I mean, also, I would know Wu-Tang Clan lyrics, but that's just me.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it is. It's like, I don't know. There's this moments where it's just like, it's like back when I lived in New Jersey and my neighbor went crazy. I think I told you about that, right?
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. I lived in that apartment where the neighbor just decided to like bang on the walls at me all the time and stuff like that. This isn't the neighbor who was above me who was crazy. This is the one who was on the same floor.
Maybe I don't know. I feel like I only know about one crazy neighbor, but I don't know.
So, well, the neighbor upstairs was the one who like called the police on me,
right?
For noise. And then when the police showed up, they just like pushed their way through the doorway and saw literally one other person sitting on the floor watching the television. And then they immediately were like, we'll just try to keep it down after 10 o'clock. And I was like, okay. And then they left. Cause I mean, it was literally a friend and I were eating Chinese food and they called a noise complaint.
Wow.
I mean, and don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm loud, but we were not being loud.
Yeah.
Like it was super, super weird. And then, the next day I heard them screaming at the top of their lungs at each other. The people upstairs, like it was a marriage falling apart or something. So I'm guessing, things weren't going superb.
I wonder if it was something like, I mean, this is really just kind of pulling this out of thin air, but like, what if like they got into like a really nasty argument or something and one of them like called the cops and then felt really stupid and just made up a noise complaint?
I mean, they could, but they would look even stupider when the police came to their, to their neighbor.
Yeah.
Well, and then the landlord called me the next day and told me like, you've got to keep it down.
Oh, God.
Because he didn't know. He didn't live there or anything. He's just some CPA who friggin' rips people off for apartments. So he I hate that guy. I still like, I have his number in my phone still. And sometimes I'm like, I should call him and tell him I hate him. But, cause he kept my deposit was over $2,000 and he kept some of it. Cause he was like, these carpets are pretty rough. I was like, they weren't new when I moved in and I lived here for 3 years.
Yeah, that's really bad.
Anyway, I gotta let that go. That's what the imaginary therapist I have tells me.
Okay, well that's
gotta
good.
let those things go.
Yeah.
But no, so then the upstairs neighbors start screaming at each other and saying, I hate you, I hate you. Well, what I told my landlord is I was like, dude, if they have such a problem with me, why don't you give them my phone number? And if I'm loud, they can call me and ask me to quiet down.
Yeah.
And he said, that sounds like a fantastic resolution. I think that's the way to go. So he did that. And then they just never called me or the police ever again. And they moved out like 3 months later because they broke up.
Yeah.
What a nightmare. But that wasn't the crazy neighbor. The crazy neighbor was over. They were on like our walls were like corner touching. Mm-hmm. And his walls were mostly touching my direct next door neighbor, who was this really nice guy. He was a Nation of Islam Muslim. So just to give you like an idea, he was like a middle-aged black man, kind of kept to himself, mm-hmm. kept his home very, very neat. His family came to visit. The only reason I knew he was a Nation of Islam Muslim was because his family came to visit, and they were all dressed in the garb, and they were all super, super nice.
Yeah.
And he and my roommate Joe was like afraid of him a little bit because he like wore all black and berets and stuff.
Oh, really?
But he and I hit it off right away because he saw my Ohio license plate and he was like, "Where are you from in Ohio?" And I was like, Dayton. And he's like, "I'm from Cleveland. My sister used to work at Wright-Patterson Air Force Base in Dayton." Oh. So every time we saw each other, our cars were parked right next to each other. Every time we saw each other, we would just talk,
cool.
and shoot the breeze. Super nice guy. But so our neighbor on the corner started going crazy. And I just remembered thinking, like, when he started being crazy and like yelling at us and doing stuff to annoy us, I just remember thinking, like, man, you don't want to play this game. I'm so much crazier than you. There's no doubt that I will waste more time. But here's the funny thing. And it's been over 10 years, so I feel like I can tell the story freely. Mm-hmm. I was messing with the guy a little bit, like saying things and like tapping on the wall or stuff when he was being a prick. I don't remember exactly what I did, but it was like yelling stuff and making sounds and stuff like that. My next door neighbor, he started picking on my next door neighbor too. My next door neighbor went nuclear on them. I heard him screaming through the walls, like, "Listen up." Like, I don't mind swearing, but I almost feel like I don't want to say the things he said.
Wow.
But he was like, "Listen up, you motherfucker. I'll come over there and I'll kill you right motherfucking now, motherfucker." And then he said a bunch of stuff about how he was gay. The guy next door was gay because he had a male roommate. And he was like, "I don't care about you gay motherfucker." Well, he was saying like slurs that I don't actually feel comfortable repeating.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's not like I'm in court, so I'm not going to repeat it. But he's just saying that. He was saying like, so why don't you two just cuddle up in bed before I come over there and just kill both your asses and stuff like that. And it stopped.
Yeah.
It stopped.
Yeah.
I just remember listening to it through the wall with my eyes wide open. Because you got to remember, this is a guy who, every day would be like, "Morning, how are you, man?" And I'd be like, "Pretty good." And the only real divide we had in our friendship is he would bring up Ohio football and I would have to shrug my shoulders.
Yeah, that's too bad.
I didn't know anything about it. But he was super nice. In fact, my fondest memory of that neighbor was when his family would come to visit. Like I said, they were all very black Muslim. That was their heritage and their culture. Mm-hmm. And I'm a pretty big and loud atheist. And at the time I was like 20 years old, and my roommate Joe was worried that there'd be a clash because they're super religious and I'm not. So Joe like warned me, like, there's a whole bunch of like religious people just hanging out outside. You might not want to go out there. And I was like, "What are you talking about? Like, why would I not want to go out there?" Well, then he came back from like getting dinner or something. And I was literally like standing in the front yard of our apartment complex playing with their children. Like, they were super nice people. I knew they were super nice because they knocked on my door. And I opened it, and I guess my neighbor was not there, but his family was staying there. They just knocked on my door because I guess their neighbor had said I was super nice.
Oh.
And they knocked on my door and just said, "Sorry to bother you. I hope this isn't an inconvenient time." It was like Saturday at like 1 p.m. or something. Mm-hmm. And I was like, "No, not at all. What's up?" And they were like, "Oh, just is there anywhere good to eat like around here?" They were super nice, and I told them like my 3 favorite restaurants. Which there were lots of great places. You visited my Jersey apartment. Mm-hmm. There were lots of great places to eat really nearby.
Yeah.
So Jersey has some good stuff. I mean, we literally had a pizza shop on the corner that was really, really good. We literally had the corner pizzeria. Like, we literally had on the corner of our street. In hindsight, honestly, sincerely, I wish I had abused that a little bit more. I wish I'd went there for a slice more often. Because you don't know what you got till it's gone. I mean, I know you love your Jersey pizza.
Yeah, I do.
So, and I did too. I mean, it ruined pizza for me.
It should. I mean, I don't know how much I want to shit talk like Ohio pizza, but Well,
you haven't had much Ohio pizza.
I had bunch of different things. Like one time I had pizza and it was square, and one time I had pizza and it was almost okay. You know, like I had a bunch of pizzas.
That's true.
And
and you've been all over too. I'm just saying specifically, it's not like you've hung out in Dayton or in Ohio that long. Although you have been here quite a bit.
Yeah,
actually.
and I've had pizza there at least a few times. So like I feel like I almost know what I'm talking about. Maybe.
Oh yeah. No, well you do know, Michelle. I would never deny that you know pizza, though. I would never deny that you know
thanks.
pizza. I adopted very quickly living in Jersey. I adopted kind of the pizza attitude of my friends there, which was that like Domino's and Pizza Hut and Papa John's are sort of pizza.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's its own thing, though. It's fast food pizza.
Yeah, exactly. That's what that is definitely what it's like in New Jersey.
Yeah, so that was our attitude, is like, you know, if we say like, let's get a pizza, we might mean Papa John's occasionally or Domino's, but if we say like, you want to go get a pie or you want to get a slice, then it was not talking about Domino's or something. It was strictly talking about like a actual pizzeria.
Mm-hmm.
And similarly, I consider New Jersey style pizza, kind of New York style pizza, but I think it's better than New York style pizza. Very vaguely different though.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I consider it to be the best pizza in the country. I do.
It is.
But I consider, you know, so that's the thing. So I don't judge like the Midwest style kind of Ohio style pizza we have. I don't judge it against that. I just consider it its own thing, and it has things to like that are different from the things I like about like New Jersey pizza.
Sure.
Because Ohio style pizza is thin crust, square cut, tiny squares.
Mm-hmm.
With toppings piled really high. That's kind of the style. And there's not a lot of, it's delicious. There's not a lot of comparison though to like a floppy triangle of pizza.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Like I remember when I took my mom to get pizza in Jersey, she was shocked because I wanted to get a plain cheese pie. And I was like, well, sometimes that's all you need out here is just a plain cheese pie to have a great time.
I disagree, but yeah.
Oh, you don't like a plain cheese pie?
No. I actually hate most plain things. I don't like plain bagels. I don't like plain pizza. I don't like ice cream that's just one solid thing. So.
Wow. Look at you, Madam Kennedy. I sincerely, when it comes to New Jersey pizza, I believe that a cheese slice is perfectly fine. I don't feel that way about other pizza. But like literally I remember ordering, you know, a whole cheese pie and opening the pizza box up before I left the pizzeria and just peppering the whole thing, you know, gently, you know, so the whole thing has like a little dusting of pepper, and then adding a little crushed red pepper, and then just a little bit of Parmesan, and then closing the box and walking home. And that was enough. That was enough like flavor and wonder. Now I didn't always order a plain cheese pie. I'm just saying, like, I wouldn't walk into one of our, you know, kind of stalwart Ohio pizzerias and get just a plain cheese pizza unless I was eating with somebody who that was what they really wanted.
Right. Yeah.
So, but no, I'm just saying. I think you have a lot more to say about pizza than you're letting on, and I think you should say it.
I don't have that much to say about pizza. Just that I just don't understand why it's not good everywhere. And I've heard a lot of theories, and I'm sure they're all just shit. Like, it's not true.
But share a couple of them, because the best thing we could possibly do if we have this platform is spread misinformation.
My favorite is that it's the water in New York. That's what makes pizza so good. And it's that's totally not true, because the water in Jersey is totally diverse and not like the water in New York, which is great. Tap water in New York tastes awesome.
It's very, very tasty.
It is great. And it's not so good in New Jersey. And I don't mean it's bad. I just mean it's not amazing.
It's not super good. The water in my neighborhood tasted pretty metallic.
Yeah, it depends on where you live in New Jersey. Sure. If you live by the coast, it tastes like shit. And then it is different where, it's a state. So it's not going to all be the same. So if your water was super metallic, and where I lived in New Jersey, the water was it's fine. If the theory is that the water makes the pizza, it makes no sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense at all. Also want to mention, just speaking of water, I'm very spoiled because Dayton has excellent, excellent water.
That's nice.
Well, we have an aquifer. We have a giant underground water source. It's super good.
My water comes, actually, I don't know where my water comes from anymore. I'm confused. But when I lived in West Philly, if you live in Philly, your water comes from one of two rivers, and they're both kind of scary. But yeah, in West Philly, if you're in West Philly, your water comes from the Schuylkill, which is kind of gross, honestly.
You get water from the Schuylkill River?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it comes from further up because I saw like the water treatment plant, I think when I was in like Ballackinwood, in that kind of area, that part of West Philly. So I think it's like coming from like above the city, like not the Schuylkill that runs right through, which is probably good because there's probably a lot less weird stuff. And, above the city in that direction, it's maybe cleaner. But yeah, it comes from the Schuylkill. Absolutely. And if you live
That's crazy.
Yeah, and if you live in like other parts of Philly, your water comes from the Delaware, which is just as weird.
Because like I said, because we get our water from an aquifer, even though we do have big rivers around here, the Ohio River being one of them.
Yeah.
The idea that like I've driven past and seen and can look at that river and that's the source just weirds me out. Look, now that I'm saying that sounds silly because it's like, well, where the fuck do you think water comes from?
Yeah.
It comes from a river. But at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but that's like, I could spit in that river for fun.
It wouldn't be that much fun. It just wouldn't be that much fun.
No. And I want to mention, I bet you, so we have one of our biggest fans of This Show is Awkward is a guy named Craig Cohen, who actually runs a GNC store in Philly.
Oh.
And he always gets really excited anytime we talk about Philly. So I bet he's super, super pumped right now that we're talking about Schuylkill and saying Schuylkill properly because it's spelled all weird.
Yeah.
And on top of that, then I just dropped his name because I just want to say, hey, Craig, appreciate your support. Craig was one of the first people to buy the This Show is Awkward t-shirt, the Catharsis at some point metal shirt that I am so fond of. Which I don't want to do like a million plugs. That's not really what the show is like. But if you go to awkwardshow.com, you can find the t-shirt. It literally, there's a button that just says get the t-shirt because it's not like we're merchandising like crazy or anything. But I just wanted to mention that real quick. But no, the New York water fallacy. Isn't there a pizzeria in Jersey that's called New York Pizza, and one of the things they do is they truck in the water?
I don't know, but I think that yes, that's probably happening somewhere.
Oh, I know that there's a place in Florida that brings the water in from New York City, or at least they say they do. It's pretty dumb. So theories. We were talking about pizza theories. We got to keep. This is important stuff that we have to get to the center of, because if we can figure out the right perfect pizza, we can send it to the Middle East and we can clear it all up. Okay. So, what are the other theories besides the water you've heard?
That's basically the most prominent one. The other thing that I'm hearing lately, because I listened to people talk about making pizza on the radio one time, was that it has to do with the temperature that the pizza dough is resting at before it's put in the oven. And the theory was like maybe the pizzerias in New York are just like not air conditioned well enough. So it's just sitting at a warmer temperature and just making the dough better. And that could totally be true, but you'd need a really big study of all of the pizzerias with good pizza to see if that's what's going on or not.
Yeah. So I want to mention, well, first of all, the legend, which I'm going to see if it's true or not later this year. But the last time I was in Los Angeles, like you could not get a good slice of pizza. You could not get like a great slice of pizza.
Yeah, when I was in LA, like I didn't try to eat pizza, so I don't know.
I don't blame you.
Yeah.
Well, basically, I've heard from many, many people that there's just no great pizza. But here in Dayton, Ohio, of all places, I live in the heart of the Midwest, but I've had 2 pizza restaurants that have served me pizza that was very similar to East Coast pizza, to Jersey pizza, very similar. One of the places I go to, I literally, when I was done eating my pizza, I went to the back and I was like, is the manager, the owner around? And turns out the owner was there and she came out and I literally was like, is anybody back there from New Jersey or New York? And I guess one of the main cooks is from New Jersey.
Weird.
And he was able to relatively replicate it.
Yeah, I mean, I think what it probably comes down to is there's just a way that things are probably being done that everybody's been doing for a really long time that, like, you know, needs to be taught to them and isn't being taught to them in other areas of the country. Yeah, I mean, sorry.
No, please.
The other myth, not really, so sort of a myth that I'd like to clear up is that there's okay pizza in Philly. There's not. I'm sorry.
We went to a couple places that were pretty all right.
There are places that are like, wow, this is pretty fine. But like, there's not, I haven't been anywhere that I've like been like, wow, this is like really good pizza. I've just been to places where I think it's, you know, standard, you know, like there's always something that's a little wrong. Like I found a place, especially like, you know, I'm sure there's somewhere good in Philly somewhere. I haven't been there, but I live in Delco now, and I don't think there's a good pizza place here. There's always something wrong. It's always like the crust is a little bit weird, or like this is perfect, except all of the toppings are canned, and it's just kind of ruining the flavor of the pizza.
Yeah.
There's always something that's just slightly off. So
there was one place by me, like really close by me, because the first place I was mentioning was kind of far away. But the place that was really close to me that I wanted to take you to next time you came to Ohio. Now, I haven't eaten their pizza in a little while, but the last time I had it, it no longer had the taste that was close enough. It tasted different. Like they must have changed something. But the first few times I ate it, I couldn't get enough of it. I was literally like, this is very close to Jersey pizza. Like this is so close that I can barely tell a difference. I mean, like it wasn't perfect by any stretch, but if I kept it simple, it was just like pepperoni mushroom. It was a very good pizza.
Interesting.
But I think that the thing that you have to consider the most is the regional tastes. Because what we're thinking is like, why doesn't this taste like the regional tastes of New Jersey? And it may be because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. If the pizzerias here sell very well doing this Midwest style or doing a style that's a bit more Chicago inspired or whatever, then why would they change? You know what I mean?
I guess.
Well, no, but I'm just saying, like, as opposed to if you opened a pizzeria in Jersey and tried to do that, it'd be kind of like, what the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what are you thinking? Because I mean, I've had like the two, I think it's Giordano's and Giovanno's, or I think are the two. I've had the two legendary pizzerias in Chicago, and Chicago style pizza is awesome, but it's really different from pizza.
Yeah.
Like, it's like lasagna.
Yeah.
It's delicious.
I've never had Chicago style pizza. And the one time I was in Chicago, actually, that's not true. I was in Chicago multiple times, and 2 times I tried to get pizza. And one time I accidentally got it from a chain because I didn't know their chains. And the other time I bought it from a place that was doing New York style pizza. It was a very weird experience.
The last time I was in Chicago, I was hanging out with some guys, and they wanted to get a pizza, and they called a local chain. I forget the name of it, but and I kid you not, like when everybody said like you could just order whatever, we're all good with it, and he gets on the phone, and the first thing he does is order a thin crust pizza. And I was like, I didn't know him well enough to murder him in front of all of his friends with my bare hands, but I sure thought about it. I mean, come on, what are you doing? But I do think that there's merit in the other types of pizza. But I will say, I mean, all I think about when I go back out east is like, can I get a good slice? I would really like a good slice. Because like that's just the way my brain works. Like that's how I label that level of pizza is that's a pie, that's a slice. Like that's not a pizza. A pizza is just anything that's round or even square with cheese and, you know, marinara sauce or whatever. That's a pizza.
Okay.
But a slice is something else. That's just the way I file it in my brain.
Yeah. I think you can probably do that because you grew up in a place where it was different, so it's easy to be like, okay, this is pizza, this is also pizza, you know.
Yeah, well, I just think pizza is kind of a generalization, you know, of a concept. But you know, well, it's like, but then you go to the places where they call sauce gravy. That weirds me out.
Yeah,
the tomato sauce is gravy, and I'm so confused when they ask me. They're like extra gravy, and I'm like, you're going to put gravy on this pizza? What is this, Canada? What are you talking about? But you know, what you guys don't do super well, and I wanted to mention, by the way, if anybody is in the Philadelphia area and knows a great pizza place, please, thisshowis.awkward@gmail.com.
No, bring me the pizza.
Okay, here's the spot where you can give your address.
No. I really wanted to do like a taste test of all the pizza in Philly, but dumpster taste test, because I can't afford to buy all the pizza. But it just never happened. It just sounds hard.
It sounds like a lot of work.
Yeah, and
getting in all those dumpsters.
Yeah.
Is dumpster pizza okay?
You know, I don't know.
Well, I guess the places that sell by the slice would have dumpster pizza.
Well, really anywhere would have dumpster pizza, because there are, you know, pies that don't go out because somebody doesn't pick them up, or they get returned to the shop because someone wasn't able to deliver them. And I think they're usually like kept and counted at the end of the night so that they can count loss, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And then they get thrown out. So it's one of those things where it's like, is a thing in the garbage that has cheese on it and other things, is that okay to eat? And then it's like, well, I mean, probably not, but it's probably fine. So
my friends make fun of me because if I order a pizza the night before and we eat some of it and then it's left like out overnight, I won't eat it.
I won't. No, I wouldn't eat it either.
Yeah, they all laugh at me and they're like, I'm eating it right now.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't eat it. But at the same time, it's probably okay. I know, like, when my parents were growing up in New York, they just, you know, weren't super into food safety. So like pizza would just be like, you know, like slices of pizza would just be like left, you know, on the counter, you know, behind the glass, just all day, just sitting there in the heat. And most people didn't get sick from it.
In the moderate heat too, like the perfect temperature for amoebas.
Yeah, exactly. It was like 75 degrees, you know, or 90, honestly, who knows? So like, it's probably okay, but I wouldn't do it.
Thanks for listening. You can email us at thisshowis.awkward@gmail.com or go to awkwardshow.com or whatever. See you next time.